Hello, students. Today we're going to be going over G4, and the standard is represent three-dimensional figures using nets made up of rectangles and triangles, and use the nets to find the surface figures. Apply these techniques to solve mathematical problems and problems in real-world context. The student-friendly objective is that the highly proficient student can solve real-world problems by finding surface figures using nets with fractional edges. So in order for us to do that, our objective for today is that I can create 3D shapes and their nets of a cube, rectangular prism, and a triangular prism. The other thing we're going to do, vertices and edges of those 3D shapes. In order for us to do that, we have a success criteria. Our success criteria is 1, we're going to draw 3D shapes, specifically cube, rectangular prism, and triangular prism. 2, we're going to draw nets from our 3D shapes. After that, we're going to do 3, we're going to identify bases, vertices, and edges from the 3D shapes. And 4, we're going to identify the bases, vertices, and edges of the 3D shapes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. And I'll come back to the success criteria. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to take a look at here, and remember we are studying GAO4. Okay, so I'm going to put a box around that. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to draw a cube, a rectangular prism, and a triangular prism. So how I draw a cube is I draw a square first, just like this. Don't worry about being perfect. And then just above it, I draw another square. Okay. Then I just connect the lines, and I have a cube. For the rectangular prism, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just making it a little bit longer so it has that rectangular look. So again, I draw a square, and just a little bit further, I draw another square. And then from here, I connect the lines. Don't worry if that overlaps there, okay? So this one is a rectangular prism. And our last shape is the triangular prism. And how I draw that is I draw my triangle, and then I draw another triangle, it's a little bit up. Then I connect the lines. And there you have it, your triangular prism. And if you notice, these are some of our vocabulary words this week. Cube, rectangular prism, and triangular prism. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at, going back to our success criteria, is we're going to draw nets from our 3D shapes. So here we go. We're going to start with the cube. So I'm going to draw a line right here. We're going to draw nets. Okay, nets are the 3D shapes when we open it up. So what you do here, and what I like to do is just watch what I do. I like to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, and then I like to put Another square here. I just run it. Try to make them all look even. If you look at it, it looks like a cross. So this is my first net for my cube up here. So basically, you know, if you have a cube and you take it apart and lay it flat, this is what it would look like. It always doesn't have this same shape. Sometimes a cube can also look like this. I'm going to aim 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I can put one of the squares over here, and I can put another square over here. This would also match up with the cube. Okay, when we fold it back together, all the sides would be covered. Another one for the cube. Again, let me draw my squares. I just think it's faster this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is you could keep one of these here and then have another one over here. Okay. But the one thing you can't have, let me show you a no-no. 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing you can't do is put one piece here and one piece here. It would, okay? So that's a no-no. So this would not work. Okay? So these are all yeses. Those would work for a cube. You go ahead and draw a little cube up here. Okay. The next shape we have is the rectangular prism. Let me see if I can fit it right here. So for the rectangular prism, and I'll go ahead and draw a little one over here. So you can follow along. Can you see that? So this one, if you look at it, it's almost like a cube, just longer. So if you notice in the middle, it's rectangular shape where this one was square shape. So you're drawing essentially the same shape, but just with the rectangular part in it. So if I go like this and just make it longer, and then go 1, 2, 3, let's make it a little bit longer, 4. You see how much longer that is from here to here? And same thing, but make sure this part is a square. Don't make this part looking like a rectangle. And there's the net for the rectangular prism. And I could also draw it like this. Let me see if I can. I'll draw this one down here. It's long like a rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can put my square right here and my square right here. And for the third one here, let me see, I think I have enough room right here. 1, 2, 3, just makes it a little bit longer, 4. See how it's long, it doesn't look like a square. And I could put my little square here and my little square here. So there's 3 ways that you could draw the net for a triangular prism. You see this? But don't be drawing anything like this over here. Okay, we got one more. The triangular prism. Let me go ahead and get another sheet of paper here. So we're still on nets. So for the triangular prism, let me go ahead and draw a little one over here. Now, if you notice for a triangular prism, you have a rectangle side, 3 spots here, and then you have your triangles on your sides. So for that one, I'm going to draw 3 rectangles.
And then now I need to draw those triangle sides. So what I like to do is I like to draw like a dot here and then connect it. Same thing over here, draw a dot and connect it. And there you have it. You think you're going to be able to draw these nets? Okay, so let's go over that again. So we have our net for our cube. So you can make the two sides just off of one of each other or exactly diagonal from each other. Okay. Same thing for the rectangular prism. Just make sure your middle looks like a rectangle, and then you have your two little squares on the end. And you have your triangular prism, turning it into a net. Okay. If you have any questions, you can always contact me in the afternoon. So let me come back to the criteria here. Our success criteria does state that we draw 3D shapes, the cube, the rectangular prism, and the triangular prism. We did that. And the next part, draw nets from our 3D shapes, which we did. So now we're going to go and identify bases, vertices, and edges from the 3D shapes. And then how to identify the bases, the vertices, and the edges from a net of the 3D shapes. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use my same sheet here. I'll draw a line. Trying not to waste paper. Okay, I like this part. So I'm going to write bases, vertices, and edges. Okay, those are also our vocabulary words. And while I'm drawing it, you'll see what the definition is for that. Okay, so here we go. Let's go start with our first shape. Our first shape was the cube. So I'm going to draw a cube here, just like we practiced earlier. So draw a square and kind of just draw another square here. And then now we're going to connect it. Okay. We're good? Okay. So in order to find the bases, if you look at it from here, and let me draw it with my pencil, your base is basically your face. It's the flat part of your 3D shape. And so if you look in the back, you have one right here. Okay. You have one at the bottom. That's 2. And you have one on the side. That's 3. You have another one on the side. That's 4. Don't forget your top. Here's 5. And then in front, 6. Okay. So this has 6 bases. Okay. So the next thing we're going to look for are the vertices. Vertices are where the lines connect, and it's the points. Okay. So one of the best ways that I can remember to find your vertices is just to make sure that you draw your 3D shape, and then I like to circle the edge, the vertices. There's 4 there. 1, 2, 4. Can you see all that? You can see all the 4 circles I made there. So if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 vertices. And the last part are our edges. Edges are the line that you see. Just pretend like if you were a little person and you're standing up here, you wouldn't want to fall off the edge. So with that one, I'm going to take my blue color here so you can see it. So I'm going to do the top here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And I got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there are 12 edges. Okay, let's go over to the rectangular prism. Now for the rectangular prism, again, I just draw a square. And I just kind of draw another square up here. And I connect my lines. Okay. And if you notice, they almost look similar, except this is rectangular. So the rectangular prism and the cube would have the same amount of bases, vertex, and edges. I'll show you here. Let me go back to my pencil here. You got your bottom, that's 1. You got your top here. You got your back, 3. You got your front, 4. And then you got your sides. Okay, so you got 5, and then over here, 6. So that is my proof that it has 6 bases. Okay, for our vertices, again, I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So 8 vertices. And our edges. Okay, you have 1 here, you got 2 here, 3 here, and 4. 5 here, 6 here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so 12 edges. I hope you guys can remember that. Both the cube and the rectangular prisms have the same amount of bases, vertices, and edges. Okay, now for the triangular prism. So I'm going to draw my triangle here and my triangle about right here. Can we connect it? There. So let's go. There are. Okay, you have your bottom here. That's 1. You have your side. That's 2. Then you have your front side. That's 3. Then you have your triangle in the back. That's 4. And you have a triangle in the front. That's 5. So the rectangular prism has 5 bases. Okay, let's see how many vertices there are. Again, just where the edges meet up. That's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 6 vertices. Easy? Yeah, I think it's one of the best ways to find your answers. And let's go look at the edges. Okay, edges. Let's see. We got the triangle here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like we have 9 for our edges. And there you go. Of our success criteria for number 3. We identified bases, vertices, and edges from the 3D shapes. You think you can follow along with what I did? Okay, the next part is finding the bases, vertices, and edges starting from a net. So up here, I'm going to write bases. vertices and edges from a net. Let me put that here. So what I would do is, if I was given a net for all of the three shapes, I need to recognize that the net is either a cube, a prism, or a triangular prism. Then I would draw the 3D shape. Then I would find the bases, vertices, and edges. And this is what I mean. Here we go. So let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's say I was given this shape. This is a net of a cube. Okay. And let me go ahead and write that in here. This is a net of a cube. Does that help? Okay, so now if I see this, I don't want to be trying to count all these little sides, because that's what I noticed some students have done before. My question is, if you recognize that this is a cube, then draw your cube, your 3D shape, okay? It can, remember, the net of a cube could look like this. It could look like, let me draw another one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just giving 2 examples here. It could look like this. But as long as you recognize, hey, that's a net for a cube, then go ahead and draw your cube. You see that? So if you see a net and you recognize what 3D shape it is, please draw that shape on your sheet of paper. Now, once you get to here, it's like doing success criteria number 3 over again. It just makes life so much easier. So again, I would have my bottom, 1, have my top, 2, have my back, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to go to 4, 5, 6. Okay, sometimes when I look at these shapes, it turns on me. So don't be surprised if it does that for you. Just know that there are 6 sides. Think of a cube, you know, when you throw dice, there's 6 sides, 6 bases. So that's how I know that there are 6 bases. Again, because I've noticed that the net is a cube, I drew the cube. Now I can confidently find how many vertices I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see that right there? So I know that there are 8 vertices. And the last part are our edges. And you know I like to use that blue color. Here it is. Okay, so our edges are our sides. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Going down, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so the bottom part, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so we have 12 edges. So I hope that you, again, just understand, if you see a net, okay, draw the 3D shape, then you can confidently find your bases, vertices, and edges. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that with a rectangular prism. So let's say, I'm going to draw a little squiggly line here to separate it. Again, let's say you see something that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And let's say our little squares right here and our little squares right here. Kind of switch it up from these ones. Or let's say it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's go ahead and make it look like a cross. Make sure these are squares right here on the edges. Oops, I thought you could see that right there. So again, if you see the net and recognize that this is a rectangular prism, then draw the cube for the rectangular prism. So draw your square. Okay. And connect your lines. Okay. And again, remember the rectangular prism and the cube have the same bases, vertices, and edges. So we have our bottom, we have our top, that's 1 and 2. You have your back, that's 3, and your front is 4. And then you have your side, so that's 1 and 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that gives us 6 bases. And we're going to go over to our vertices. Now, I can do this with a pencil. I know you saw me do this one up here in red ink, but I know a lot of kids don't have ink. So you can do it with your pencil. So watch, and you can still see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just make it nice and big so that you guys can see it. Okay, so now I can tell that I have 8 vertices. And for our edges, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going down, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the bottom, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, my edges. So remember, when you see a net that you recognize, change it over to the 3D shape. Then you can confidently find your bases, your vertices, and your edges. And for our last shape, our triangular prism. So I'm going to come up here and let's see, base. So I know I need a rectangle. 1, 2, 3. Put my dot here and then connect it. Put my dot here and then connect it. Okay, so there is my net for my triangular prism. Now that you recognize it, say, hey, it's better for me to draw the 3D shape. So draw your 3D shape. Draw your triangle. Connect it. And then you can get started. Okay, so let's see. Our bottom, for our base, we got our bottom, that's 1. And then you got you can do your triangles, that's 2. Another one's over here, 3. And then you got your sides right here. So you got one over here. And then you got this big one right here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 bases. Bases are the flat areas. Now let's go do our edges. And I can do this in pencil as well. Just make sure your circles are are large at where the edges meet. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this has 6 vertices. Please don't be trying to count over here going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No. Please draw the 3D shape and then find your bases, your vertices, and your edges. Okay, our edges, let's go take a look at that one. We got 1 up here on top, 1. We got here 2. We got here 3. 4 this way, 5 this way, 6, 7, 8, 9 edges. And that's how we identify our bases, vertices, and edges from a net. So when you find it, when you see your net, please draw your 3D shape that corresponds to it. Then you can find your bases, your vertices, and your edges. So if I come back over here to end our lesson, 8 3D shapes in their nets of a cube, a rectangular prism, and a triangular prism. Yes, we did. And the next one, can I find the bases, the vertices, and the edges of those 3D shapes? We sure did. And were we able to follow our success criteria? Did we draw 3D shapes? Yes, we did. Did we draw the nets from our 3D shapes? Yes, we did. Did we identify the bases, the vertices, and edges from 3D shapes? Yes. And the last part, did we bases, vertices, and edges from a net of the 3D shapes? Yes, we did. And so that is our lesson today. So now you can go ahead and work on your assignment. And then when you're done with it, please submit it. And have a good day.